Hi, I'm Maddison.
And I'm Kevin Chu. And we are first-gen students in the OS program.
I'm freshly 21. I'm a senior here in OS, and then my pathway is dealing with education and leadership.
Pretty recently 21, and my pathway is along the lines of business, marketing, and I'm gonna be a consultant after I graduate.
So for me, I'm from Auburn, Indiana. My mom and dad, they both dropped out of high school. My mom she worked at Lowe's for a long time and now is an apartment manager. And my dad, he worked third shift at a factory, and he eventually passed away when I was in high school. And obviously I'm out of state, so tuition is ridiculous, but I was very fortunate here, and I feel like Michigan financially has been very helpful. Even OS has the OS Opportunity Scholarship, so that's very helpful.
My parents are both from a very small village in China, and they immigrated here. They both have never finished middle school. There isn't a lot of opportunities in these small villages in China. Started working, they scrapped what they could and used all their money to basically come here. Out of all of my cousins, I am the oldest. I kind of had to lead by example. I continue to really lead by example by just going through this college process, like picking a major in org studies, doing something that's like kind of unique.
I think it was positive and negative overall experience so far. Some of the resources that the university attempts to provide to first gen, they kind of made it apparent before I came in newsletters and emails that I could be a part of the first gen department and organization. But I think sometimes socially there are some negative experiences. I think it's hard sometimes to find a group of first gen students that are socially supportive because it's harder to find in a very academically inclined university.
I think that our school, org studies, they've done a pretty good job overall of just providing a lot of resources for us. I think I even had a first gen scholarship at some point. The struggles, I guess, other students kind of have these expectations. They assume that you come from a household where your parents, your grandparents, they all went to college, or you're a legacy student here. But a lot of the times, that's not the case for students like Maddison and I. Yeah, most of the time, I think that I don't let it affect me too negatively, but just try to make the most of the opportunities I do have and kind of leverage it and spin it in a positive way.
In terms of OS specifically, I know we have a few OS specific student orgs, so I feel like if there was a way to emphasize creating a student org for first gen OS students, a lot of people are going into very high paying jobs, and they tend to have support from parents and peers, which I think is great, but that's not true obviously for everyone. So I think having a space dedicated to people that may not have those resources would be positive.
I've definitely been the beneficiary of a couple of resources, whether that be any financial aid as a result of being a first gen student. But I did get an email an hour or two ago about these first gen gateway events. Just having those can be helpful because it'll allow them to feel less alone. They probably already feel quite alone and feel like they have some sort of pressure. I know I personally do, being the oldest kid in my family, the first person to go to college. So having these opportunities for networking, for community building and bonding, those can certainly go a long way, whether that's with the university or within OS specifically.
I think just the small community in general, we go to OS 410 for seniors, and we had all the classes with 50 kids maximum. As a student who struggles to fit in a culture where there tends to be a lot of privilege and money, OS has provided me with a lot of relationships that I probably would not have had in very large classrooms, especially through the group projects. It almost forced me to come out of my shell and talk to people of different backgrounds of all types.
OS has certainly helped me with this whole first gen process. I think that these smaller sizes really allow me to feel more accepted and feel less like an outcast. Whether they're in my group or at a different table, they're all pretty understanding regardless of your situation.